This is it then, folks. Backdoor Kev or bottle job time. Hello and welcome to part 167 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final two games of the season. We're at home against Manchester United and away against Everton. But we have managed to get ourselves, thanks to two red cards in the last game, in the last episode, we've taken ourselves from a position of dominance where we looked like we were nailed on to win the league to needing favours. We have to backdoor Kev this. We talked last episode about how Manchester City had two games in hand on us. They've only gone and won them both. So with 2 games to go, this is how the league looks. City are top on 78 points. We're second on 77. Wolves have played one more game than both of us on 74 points. Wolves are out of the equation. United have played the same amount of games as us and City, and they're on 73 points, but we play them now. So a win against Manchester United in this first game, and we guarantee ourselves a top 2 finish and give ourselves the chance to still win the league if Man City drop points. But their running is easier than ours. Obviously, we've still got to play Manchester United. Where's fixtures? There we go. Whereas Man City have got to play, where are we? Everton and Middlesbrough. They do, though, have an FA Cup final and a Champions League final to worry about. So you never know. They might be focused on them. I know we would be, because we always seem to do that when we get into situations like this. So this is the team we're putting out there for today's massive must-win game against Manchester United. We've got Vujicic in goal, a back four of Joksimovic, Brodic, Ferguson and Coupler, with Wanda, Caminero and Hayes in midfield, and Fernandez in behind Kerr and Jones. Remember, we have suspensions. Riper and McAllister both suspended from the last game. Joksimovic wasn't, despite picking up his 10th yellow card, and he, up until very recently, was wanted by Manchester United, although he's lost his little wanted symbol next to him, so perhaps nobody wants him after all. We want you. We'll keep you. Yes, we want to win the league. Yes, that one. Yes, we can adapt. Yes, we've looked good in training. I am a little bit afraid of playing Manchester United without Ripert because he has been so important for us this season. The only oh my word, 12 seconds on the clock, Vujicic has to make a save. The only little ray of hope that we've got. Oh my God. 30 seconds on the clock and we're 1-0 down. I was going to say we're at home and our home form has been really good at the Sir Tom Elliott Arena. But 30 seconds on the clock. We've not actually touched the ball yet. The one scrap of possession that we'd had before that goal was Vujicic palming away the save that gave away the corner. That is not the start we were looking for. If we lose this, it's all but over. Hayes, corner towards Kerr, can't get anything on it, but it comes to Caminero. It finds Ferguson. Jones is in behind. We have players in the middle. If he can squeeze out a cross, he can. Cross comes in towards Kerr, who can't get anything on it. Joksimovic from range, and it goes just wide. We have got to dig deep and find some backdoor Kev juice if we're going to find any way back into this title race. We've pushed it so hard. We've done so well. But it is starting to look like we might just fall at the final hurdle, and it all comes down to Jim McAllister let us down. The Watford game has become so important. Those drop points. We've not lost a football match this year yet. We're on the longest unbeaten run in the history of the football club. But I think we might be about to lose our unbeaten run today because we're not the same without Ripert. Kerr, though, plays it over towards Jones. Jones, again, using the channel, squares it to Kerr. Kerr hits the inside of the post and the crossbar. You don't get any closer than that without scoring. Coupler with the throw towards Hayes. That's a lovely bit of control from Hayes. Wander's got it, finds Coupler. Coupler with the cross. There's no one on the end of it, but it falls to Wander again. Kerr nods down to Fernandez, who 2 games ago scores that because he was in the form of his life. Today he misses it, and I'm wondering whether it's time to bring Nuhu into the fray. I think Nuhu comes on any moment just because he's Nuhu. We'll give this one more highlight and then we're bringing Nuhu on for Fernandez. Joksimovic running down the left-hand side. Can't get the cross in though. It comes to Wanda, who's back covering. Plays it all the way back to Vujicic. And we build again. This is a weird highlight. Vujicic, big ball forward towards nobody. We've got no strikers anywhere near their defenders, and now they're counter-attacking on us, and we can't get the ball, and they're going to score, and they do, and that's why we got the weird highlight, because it was all building up to a goal that really came from the fact that we took a goal kick, lumped the ball forwards, and I don't know why there were no blue shirts anywhere near the red shirts. It doesn't make sense. Surely you push the strikers on to try and win the ball and, you know, score goals maybe. But perhaps we're not. Perhaps that's too subtle for us. Right, let's get Nuhu on. We need a miracle here. We'll get Rodrigo on in midfield as well, because he hasn't played for a little while, and he was good before he got injured, and then we've never really got him back into the team. We have got Jokic on the bench as well, and Erhan. I don't really think that either of them are going to be game changers, and it's not looking good, is it? We've absolutely bottled this. Nuhu. Ball out towards Jones. We've got 15 minutes left. If we're going to do it, it's going to be late. Jones. What a move from Jones. And Nuhu tucks in a goal. We've got one back with 15 minutes left. And that was just perfect from Jones. And of course Nuhu finishes it off because he's Enoch Nuhu. And that's what he does. But this was brilliant from Jones. This is why he's the best striker in the country. Just pace and power and just a perfect pass. All the P's. Oh, right. Let's grab another two. Two more goals are needed. And I don't know who to bring on to find them for us. I'm thinking Erhan. Maybe for Kerr. And we go to the 4-3-2-1 that we've used so often in this run-in. But in fact, we're going to keep those two on attack. It's a very attacking version of it. All three of our attacking players on attack. We've got to find goals from somewhere. Even one goal's not enough. A draw doesn't get the job done. We must win this game. Man City aren't going to drop enough points for us to get away with even a draw. And we're running out of time, and it's so very sad. Ferguson, back to Vujicic. We've still got 5 minutes or 4 minutes, plus any time that's added on. And it's forward towards Jones. Has space to run in again. Nuhu is in the middle. Jones tries to go it on his own and probably should have squared that for Nuhu. But, yeah. Right, Joksimovic intercepts now. Nuhu's picked up a knock, but it finds Jones. Erhan. We've woken up in this second half, but it's too little too late. Brodic, why does he not just throw his body through the football there? Cross from Brodic to Nuhu. Rodrigo! I thought that was a save, but in fact it's gone wide. 4 minutes of time added on, and I don't think it's going to be enough. We need another 2 hours. But alas, we do not get another 2 hours because football is a very unfair game. Well, there's not going to be any backdoor Kev this season. Man City won their game against Everton. They've won the league. We now play Everton. We're trying to... I'm so sad. We came so close. Yeah, we now play Everton to try and secure second place. It's still been a fantastic season. We've finished in the Champions League spots. We've got the top scorer in the Premier League. Unfortunately, he is trying to force through a move to Manchester United now. We've agreed with him that if they meet a valuation of £65 million, we'll let him go. So we could be losing Charlie Jones to Man United. And this was my fear. Although the ones who we'd agreed to let go if we didn't get in the Champions League, the likes of Vujicic and Nuhu and Brodic even, they've all calmed down now. Although Nuhu still wants to go to a bigger club, no longer a Champions League club, just a bigger club. But we are going to see some players leave probably this summer. Maybe. I hope we don't. I hope Man United is just skint at the moment and we can keep Jones. Jones is so important to us that it will be a disaster if he leaves, because I don't know how we replace him. 24 goals and 14 assists on a 7.51. We don't replace that, and he's only getting better as well because he's young. Let's get into the game. Did I even tell you the team? We've made a few changes. You can see them for yourself. I'm too miserable to talk through them. I'm so sad. Right, let's at least pick up a win. Ferguson, yeah, he's being rested. Rydpick comes into the team because he's because he's Ripert. He's played every game until that last one that he was suspended for. If he hadn't got sent off against Watford, he'd have been ever present all season and we might have won the league. But yeah, our defence without Ripert is just not the same. What we really need is for 2 or 3 players to show up on our scout reports like him. If you remember, we picked him up for £5 million last summer. He was one of these stars of a lower league, not a lower league, a lesser league. He was playing in Denmark, not as good as the Premier League. Was it Denmark? It was somewhere like Denmark. Might have been Sweden. I apologise to Scandinavian viewers. But yeah, he was playing over somewhere and none of the big clubs had picked him up yet, but he was better than any defender that we had. And he was cheap because no big clubs had picked him up yet. I've looked at our scout reports and there's no one else like there at the moment. Everywhere, every player who looks like he would improve our team is in the £50 million plus price range. We've only got a transfer budget of £45 million for next season. So if we don't sell anyone, we can bring in one player realistically, which I think has to be a striker. It absolutely has to be a striker. If we sell 1 or 2 players, Jones wants to go. Wanda might be tempted by money to go to China because there's a Chinese club after him. Joksimovic, Man United are now chasing again. There's always clubs in for our good young players. That could be a disaster. We need to keep this team together for another year, 2 years, win the Champions League with him. And then that's what I need to say to Jones. Look, you need to stay for 2 years. You'll still only be 24. If you're as good as you think you are, Man United will still want you when you're 24, but it gives us a chance to win the Champions League before FM19's out. That's the agreement we need to have in place with him. That doesn't seem to be an option. Fernandes to Jones. I guess one player we probably could afford to sell is Nuhu. That's a lovely finish from Kerr, which would have been unthinkable even in the last transfer window. But with Fernandes looking very, very good, and we've still got Erhan, if we were to get a £60 million offer for Nuhu, I think I'd probably take it. Because we don't need 4 attacking midfielders. We've still got Jim McAllister, and he never lets us down. But we've still got Jim McAllister, who's a useful squad player to have around. Just don't ever play him against Watford when you need a win. And we could probably do with another midfielder because Rodrigo's only here on loan. That was superb from Kerr. If he did that every game, he would be up there as good as Jones. He's the same sort of age as Jones. I think he's a year older. So remember, Kerr's still very young as well. But that was just incredible. Jones did well. Kerr does even better. It's 2-1 just before half-time. Where was that Kieran Kerr in the last 2 games against Man United and Watford? We really could have used him in either of those games. Sanchez. Across to Wanda. Could be Wanda's last game for the club. The man who single-handedly turned Nuneaton from a team that was going to get relegated from the Premier League to a team that's now playing in the Champions League. It was the signing of Wanda. I will always pinpoint that exact moment, bringing him in that January transfer window from Stoke, making him captain, getting him into a team leader spot almost immediately. That was the turning point of the save. It looked like we were never going to establish ourselves in the Premier League, and Wanda came in and just did it and said, right, we're a Premier League team. I'm not having any other option available. But looking at the midfield now, he's not our best midfielder anymore, let alone our best player. If we do get a silly money offer from a club in China and he gets a silly money offer to go, he's probably replaceable at this point. Fazio might be fed up of playing down in the Championship for Brighton. We might be able to bring him back and he'll be 2 years better. So he was a superb player for us before. I think I'd swap him for Wanda at this point. He's 4 or 5 years younger, has the potential to get better. But other than that, I don't think we need to fiddle too much. Our defence, if we can keep the goalkeepers that we've got and the defenders that we've got, I don't think we need to fiddle in that area at all. Obviously, Ferguson and Diofin are both going to be a little bit older. It wouldn't hurt to find a youngster to bring in as a 4th centre-back instead of Diofin, who just hasn't been able to force his way in the team. And that's an indication of how good our defence is now, because he's a 4-star defender who's been playing regularly in the Champions League all his career. That's Kerr's hat-trick. And he's played 2 games for us this season. He's just not been able to get in the team past Ripert, Ferguson and Brodic. The 3 of them have just dominated those 2 centre-back spots. Our two right backs are both very good quality. The two left backs, Sretenovic, I'm still not completely sold on, but he's a very good backup to Joksimovic. And then it's just we don't have a substitute striker. We've got Kerr and Jones. Jokic has flashes where he looks like he might be decent, but he's not Premier League. He's certainly not a Champions League player yet, and he might become one. But I think really he needs to be our fourth choice striker next season. We need to bring in some proper competition for Kerr and Jones and keep them both. And I think that's where our £40–45 million, the bulk of it, needs to go. Let's go. Let's bring back Nogueira, who's one of the top scorers in the Premier League, and just banging him in for Southampton. Can't believe we already had the striker we needed at the club. But we all saw he was useless for us. Southampton are obviously just playing to his strengths, and we never did. Right, Fernandez off, Nuhu on. And I think we've just talked about Sretenovic. Let's look at him for the last 20 minutes. See what we think of him. Because I think he's another one who's going to become homegrown. Maybe next year. We've got a whole bunch who become homegrown this year. Jokic, Kovacevic, Cupler all become homegrown this summer. So squad management is going to be a little bit easier. But we just have to be very careful what we bring in. And this summer is more about not selling anyone than it is about buying anyone, I think. If we can avoid selling any of our stars, we'll win the league next year. I've decided. Right. Last substitution. Shall we have a look at Jokic? Let's give him 10 minutes. And play him as the complete forward, because he always looks better as the complete forward. So Jokic, 10 minutes. This is similar to what we used to give Nogueira every season. Have you 10 minutes at the end of the season to prove that you're good enough to be a part of the squad next year. And I just got fed up of Nogueira not really doing it. Never really gave that man a proper opportunity. Nuhu into Kerr. I thought Kerr was going to grab his fourth of the game, which would just be insane, really. But it looks like we are going to hold on. And I'm in second place in the Premier League. Of course we take that at the start of the season. I'm still very sad that we didn't manage to win the league. But it's character building. We don't need to win the league yet. We've still got 2 or 3 seasons of this save left. We've got time to win the league. We're in the Champions League. That's what matters. The goal has always been win the Champions League, not win the Premier League. So if we can win the Champions League in the next couple of years, we still achieve the one and only goal we had at the start of the save. Would have been nice to win a Premier League along the way, though. But, I mean, interestingly, Man City, when it said that they'd won the league, it did say that they'd won the quintuple. I don't really get what that means, because they weren't in the World Club Cup, I don't think, because they didn't win the Champions League last year. But they've already won the Carabao Cup, they've already won the Community Shield, and they're in the FA Cup final and the Champions League final as well. So to be pipped at the post by the best club team in the world, did they lose? You absolute hideous monsters. Man City lost on the final day of the season. Oh, that Watford game now. I don't even want to think about it. 1 point in it. That's hideous. That is hideous. Wow. Champions League next year. And hopefully we don't lose all our players. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.